This is question number 4. We are working on still a sampling distribution for the proportion. Okay, so we need to part A. We are going to select the right graph for the distribution of the proportion. We know the proportion, the sample proportion, would follow a normal distribution with the mean and standard deviation. We know the mean is the population proportion, which is in this case, which is 70%, 0.7. Okay, and we know the standard deviation is equal to the square root of the population proportion, which is 0.7 times 1 minus population proportion, which is 1 minus 0.7, okay, over the sample size. Okay, sample size n. What is n in this case? The n is 50. Okay, let's put 50 there. Okay, and we have the standard deviation. And in order to select the correct graph, we need to find mean minus 1 standard deviation, and also the mean plus 1 standard deviation. Okay, so mean minus 1 standard deviation is mean minus 1 standard deviation, and the mean plus 1 standard deviation is equal to mean plus 1 standard deviation. Okay. And also let's do the same for 2 standard deviations, minus 2 standard deviations, and plus 2 standard deviations. Okay, so we need to use this one, which is this one, equal to this one minus 1 more standard deviation, and this is equal to this one plus 1 more standard deviation. Okay, let me enlarge this one. And also, what about 3 standard deviations? Let's do this. 3 standard deviations. Okay, we have 3 standard deviations. Let's do the same. This one minus 1 more standard deviation, and equals this one plus 1 more standard deviation. Right? So we got those numbers. Then let's put those numbers into the figure. Okay? Because the mean for sure is 0.7. So this is 0.3, this is not correct. This is 0.3, this is not correct. It's going to be one of the C or D. Okay? So how do we know it's a C or D? So we have to let's check the 3 standard deviations. Okay? We know the 3 standard deviation based on our calculation is almost 0.9. So in this figure is near 0.9, but in here, the 3 standard deviation, the upper limit of 3 standard deviation is too far away from 0.9. So that's why D is the correct answer. Okay? So we have to put the numbers into the figure to see which figure or which graph is correct. Okay, so this is part A. In part B, we want to check the conditions. The randomization condition, 10% condition, success and failure condition. We have to check those. And in this case, the randomization condition is not met. That's because they selected first 50 cars. They didn't randomly select their sample. What about the success and failure condition? We know that sample size times the probability of success has to be greater than 10, and similarly n times q, which is 1 minus b, has to be greater than 10 as well. Okay, because the n sample size is 50, so let's just do one calculation times the p, which is 0.7. Okay, so it's equal to 35, which is greater than 10, and if we do the calculation for the next one, it's also greater than 10. Okay, so this one is met, and 10% condition is also met. So the randomization is the only one that is not met in this question.